All right, guys, the weigh-ins happened for UFC Paris this morning. There was no weigh-in live stream because of the timing of the weigh-ins, but we're going to go through the ceremonial face-offs, and then we're going to check the sports books and see what the prop odds are like for every single fight, and check out any cool prop bets there might be. All right, first fight on the card here, we have Oki versus Chris Duncan. Both fighters look like they're in great shape. Here we can check out the face-off. We have Chris Duncan with the face paint on. Both fighters look confident. Yeah, we're going to stick with our pick here with Bolaji Oki. I think on the feet, Oki should have this. He's a pretty good striker on the feet. I think the low kicks of Duncan are pretty good, but aside from that, I think if Duncan can get his wrestling going here, which, I mean, he is the better wrestler, but I think Oki's getting a lot better in the takedown defense and stuff. So I see this fight staying standing up. I see Oki getting the win. Let's check out what some of these prop bets look like. So we actually have Oki by KO at plus 120. It's the lowest payout prop of all method of victory ones, and I think that's pretty interesting. I think if you are on the Oki side like I am, I would not be surprised if this fight went to decision. Chris Duncan's 11-2. He's fought some, he's 11-2. He's fought some pretty decent power punchers. I mean, he got knocked out once, and it was by Vyacheslav Borshev, and maybe in hindsight, I mean, that also wasn't 2021, and in hindsight, that's kind of stupid because, I mean, Borshev is a really good striker, but I mean, he got dropped by Chase Hooper, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, in general, he has fought some, like, Yanal Ajmuz has decent power. He can definitely knock out anyone. He went to decision with Yanal Ajmuz, and while Oki does have good power himself, I would not be surprised if this fight did go the distance. Like, he just went to the distance with Timmy Kwamba. So if you are on the Oki side here, I think the plus 330 for Oki by decision is not a bad look at all. I'm actually surprised that there's that much of a difference between KO and by decision. So I would look for maybe Bolaji Oki to win this by decision. This fight could also be closer than some people think. I think like money line at minus 185 is not bad if you're parlaying this with something. Not super confident, but do have some decent confidence in Oki getting the win. But also the Chris Duncan plus 3.5 spread at minus 105, if you're on the Duncan side, could be a good look, as in, like, he just has to win one round. So yeah, if you're on the Duncan side here, if you think Duncan can edge out this victory, then his money line is good. But if you're kind of a little bit on the fence, that plus 3.5 at minus 105 could look good. And then on the Oki side, if you want to play a prop to kind of juice up the odds, I'm surprised that there's that much of a gap between by decision and KO TKO. So I would maybe look to play the by decision prop here. All right, second fight on the card, we have Nora Cornolle and Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Now, both these girls look good in the face-offs. They look healthy. They look prepared. They look ready to go. You do see the height difference there a little bit. Cornolle is looking up. But, yeah, I mean, I think we kind of have like a good idea of how this fight's going to go. Both these women are really comfortable on the feet. That's where they're going to want to be. It's going to be like a kickboxing match. I don't see it going like their first matchup that happened, I think, in 2021. I think Cornolle has developed quite a bit since then, and what it comes down to is because of the reach disadvantage that Nora will have, I think that she will be kind of forced to pressure forward. So for the Jacqueline side, she's going to want to kind of jab and move, stay on the back foot, and put a wider margin on those striking numbers to kind of like pull away from this fight. And then when it comes to Nora, she's going to probably look to land a little less volume and more like heavier shots. So it's just going to come down to, can Jacqueline avoid the heavy shots, and can Nora land those power shots to kind of sway it on the judges' scorecards? I do see this going all the way. I know the over 2.5 lines at minus 375. That's interesting. I think it's a little bit juiced, but I do see this going to decision. No secret there. And then when it comes to the spreads, I mean, the spread does not look too good to me. Like minus 165 for Nora to lock in one round. I mean, if Jacqueline does settle in, then she could easily just like settle in and take all 3 rounds if she's going to. But then if you are on the Nora side, I think the money line at plus 170 makes the most sense. I actually think Nora will just come away with the victory. I don't think it's worth the plus 3.5 and minus 165 for her to win one round. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one to Nora. I think the money line does look good. As you guys know, we placed that as one of our free bets this week, about half a unit on the Nora money line. So that's what I'm gonna go with. And then when it comes to the props, I mean, by decision on either side that you're on, but Cavalcanti at minus 150 to win by decision, I think is not worth it at all. So, by decision prop is probably the way to go here. I mean, women's MMA, none of these. I mean, Nora kind of gets some finishes in MMA, but I don't really see her knocking Jacqueline out. So yeah, by decision is probably the way to go. All right, up next on the card, we have Daniel Barez and Victor Altamirano. Face-off looks good. Both of them look healthy. Both of them made weight. They're kind of the same height almost, but Altamirano does have that 4-inch reach advantage. But the way Barez strikes, I'm not too worried about it. He has like that crunched up, tight boxer stance. He's gonna come like box in the pocket, so I'm not too worried about the reach advantage much. And he throws like these pretty heavy hooks that'll help him break through. Yeah, so I feel like this looks good. I'm on the Barez side. He's now a plus 110 dog. I'm definitely on the Barez side here, and I think that early in this fight, Barez is gonna look great. It just comes down to his gas tank. He does slow down pretty quick, and Altamirano's super game. So I don't really know if. See, now I don't know if Barez's gas tank has gone better. I'm gonna assume it has, considering that that's kind of been a problem for him in the past. Like, if you look at his loss to Rafael Filo, he almost knocked Rafael Filo out like multiple times in that first round, and then he does slow down like pretty quick. So that's one thing to look out for. I mean, I don't also know if I can see Barez knocking out Altamirano in round 1. Altamirano's never been knocked out, so that's an interesting thing. Barez by decision is plus 215. Maybe Altamirano by finish, by like submission or something like that. Altamirano by KO is plus 1,000. If you're on the Altamirano side, I would say hunting that finish is not too bad because Barez definitely can gas quite heavily. If Barez doesn't gas and he makes it all the way, there's a good chance I think Barez wins this fight. So if you're on the Barez side, I think moneyline is probably the best play. I wouldn't go through the by KO, by submission, or by decision, only because if that win comes in the means of just like being super aggressive off the jump, or if he can kind of survive, that's why I wouldn't play any prop. He's already plus money. So if you're on the Barez side, I would say take the money line. Now, on the Altamirano side, I wouldn't even hate taking like a submission or KO bet because, if Barez slows down and Altamirano's super game, then I can see Altamirano finding a finish if like Barez kind of death gasses. So minus 130 on the money line, I don't think is worth on the Altamirano side. But plus 650 by submission, plus 1,000 by KO TKO. I mean, Altamirano's not known to like kind of knock people out like that, but submission I think is pretty possible. Altamirano does have good submissions, so plus 650 Altamirano by submission might be a cool pick if you're on the victor side in this fight. All right, now this stupid bitch in this next fight, Ailin Perez, fully like she missed weight by half a pound, but this weigh-in video on Twitter that I'm seeing of her shaking is not looking good. She looked like she was on death's door for this weigh-in, and this is literally like yesterday night we posted our second free bet, which is a 1-unit bet on Perez and Joanderson Brito. Now Brito looked great, but Ailin Perez being the only fighter that missed weight, you can't make this shit up. Pretty upset about that. Now we're looking at the ceremonial face-offs here, and she looks like she's rehydrated well. I mean, she has like some energy here. She's talking shit. She's got the Argentinian flag up, and Darya also, Darya looks like regular her. She looks decent. Both of these fighters look game, but that weight miss really just kind of trips me out. I'm gonna hold my ticket here on Ailin Perez, to be honest. I think she can still definitely get this done. Maybe I'm coping a little bit. Her line did shift, so let's kind of check out what the prop bets look like for this fight right now. If you're on the Darya side, I think a good bet here would be the under 2.5. I think that at the end of the day, I think if Ailin can go 3 rounds, I think she wins this fight. I think the way she loses, she literally just like dies in there because that weight cut was so bad. This under 2.5 round line is plus 200. Like I said, I'm gonna hold my bet on Ailin. She's at minus 205. I think she was at minus 255 or something like that prior to this weight cut. So yeah, her lines move quite a bit. Under 2.5 at plus 200. If you're worried about that weigh-in, not a bad call whatsoever. And then aside from that, I still think Perez gets it done. Perez by decision is minus 120. To be honest, that could be a good play. I don't see Perez getting a finish, especially not after that weight cut. So if you're still on the Perez side like I am, her to win by decision at minus 120 is not a bad shout. And then on the Darya side, I think Darya by KO is plus 600. Maybe look to see that if you think that Ailin is going to death gas kind of throughout this fight. But I personally don't think it's going to happen. Spread-wise, I don't see any real value in any of these spreads. To be honest, maybe the Darya plus 3.5 spread actually at minus 120. That actually looks pretty good if you think that this fight's going to be kind of close now. So yeah, I mean, originally I thought that Ailin could kind of sit on her for 3 rounds. Obviously, it's just the weight cut. None of their skills have changed. So face-off looks good, though. She looks like she rehydrated. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to hold the ticket for this bet, though. All right, up the card we have Taylor Lapilus versus Vince Morales, and this face-off, same shit. Both fighters made weight. Both fighters look pretty good. Vince Morales looks game, but Lapilus looks like he's here to take care of business. He's not messing around. Hometown for him. So I see Lapilus getting this done. I think that I think at the start of this fight, Vince Morales can make it a little bit wild. It'll be a little bit interesting, like first 2 minutes of this fight, but I think over 15. Lapilus is just going to pull away as the better fighter here. Let's take a look at the odds. I know Lapilus is a minus 375 favorite. We have Morales at plus 295. I don't think that's enough chance either way. I don't know how I feel about it. Just because it's short notice, anything can happen. But I am pretty confident that Lapilus does pull away over 15 when it comes to this fight. Now the over 2.5 is at minus 345. Yeah, I think this line does make sense. Both these guys should probably go to a decision. Morales does have some submissions, and I think he does carry power early in the fight. I don't see Lapilus kind of getting impacted early. I think that he'll stay pretty cautious. He won't get into like a firefight, and then as the fight goes on, I think that KO power kind of goes away. And Lapilus is not really knocking people out left and right, so I think this does go to a decision. I think that overline does make sense. Not really sure if I would bet an over at minus 345. To be honest, probably wouldn't. But, Lapilus to win by decision at minus 175, I think that could be a good parlay piece for a random parlay. I don't think that his money line is minus 375. That's pretty juiced. And then if you think that Morales can randomly pull this off, Morales by submission is plus 1,800. But to be honest, Lapilus is not getting submitted. So, not really any real props here. I don't really like the spread on either side as well. So, yeah, maybe if you want to juice up Lapilus's line, take him by decision. But the money lines are juiced here. Some of the most props on Morales just seem pretty unlikely. So yeah, Lapilus by decision, probably the one that makes the most sense if you want to juice up odds. And yeah. All right, next fight is Ludovic Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. Now, face-off looks good, but there's actually the clear height difference. Klein looks kind of like a shrimp. It'd be funny if you knew nothing about the UFC. There's no way you would think that Klein is a minus 1,000 favorite, but he is, and it makes sense. He's just much better than Roberts everywhere. Money lines, no point in this fight. Klein definitely wins, and at minus 1,000, there's not really much to do with him. If you want to juice up your parlay by $50, go ahead. But yeah, money line wise, this is kind of just gone. When it comes to the props, though, even Klein's minus 3.5 is at 525. Probably because this fight is probably expected to be a finish, so there's not much equity there. It's like Klein either wins 3 rounds or he gets to finish, something like that. So, yeah, not much equity in the spread either on either side. The under 2.5 is at minus 166. I don't think that's too bad. I think that under probably makes sense. I think Klein makes quick work of Roberts this weekend. Now, Klein to win by KO TKO is at minus 120. That's an interesting line. I think that does happen. To be honest, I think this is going to be like a ground and pound type of knockout. And Klein by submission, and we know Roberts has been submitted a few times in his career. So Klein by submission is at plus 500. I don't know if he's actively going to look for it, but I do see him being able to hurt Roberts and like finishing this fight with a bunch of ground and pound. So if in that chaos he goes for a submission, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a reach though. So I think like Klein by KO probably makes the most sense here at minus 120. I don't think that's a bad line at all. And then Klein by decision is plus 200. I think that's not worth it whatsoever. So yeah, I would say that the Klein by KO is the best prop here. Nothing on the Roberts side makes any sense to me. And yeah, we'll move on to the next one. And now we have Oumar Sy and Dawoon Jung. Now, Dawoon looks like he got some extra fat he could have maybe got rid of. But, both these guys made weight. This fight should also be a pretty quick breakdown. Oumar Sy's money line is now at minus 600. And when it comes to the props here, the prop that I will be probably chasing here is Oumar Sy to win by submission. I definitely think it happens. I think he just kind of can get Jung on the ground and then do whatever the hell he wants with him. So I think Sy by submission is the one I'm going to be chasing. At plus 120, I wish it was a little bit higher, but whatever. Plus money, I think this fight does end by submission. So Sy by submission is the best prop here. I'll definitely take a look at that. And then if you feel like, maybe Jung is pretty durable and he could kind of avoid it, then the minus 300 on the Oumar Sy minus 3.5 kind of covers your finish. And then if he has a dominating decision, so 30-27. So that kind of covers 30-27s and a finish. So if you want to parlay that somewhere, the minus 3.5 at minus 300 is something you could probably parlay as well. All right, next fight on the card is Ion Cutelaba and Ivan Erslan. Now, I picked Cutelaba. I'm not super confident, but I think he's flipped to a dog, and I think that's kind of worth it. I think he just has more paths to victory, but I mean, let's look at the face-off first. Cutelaba has the failed flinch attempt, which is always horrible. Your fighter tries to make his opponent flinch, tries to get in his head, and it doesn't work. So I definitely did not like seeing that. If you're going to do some bullshit like that, you better do it right. And Erslan seems to be super game. He was on point. He did not flinch. So if you're on the Erslan side, that's a dub, I think, in the face-off for you. But Cutelaba's at minus 105, and it literally just comes down to if he'll wrestle. So if he wrestles, I think that there's a chance for him to win here. I mean, they can go stand and bang in a firefight. Both of them can knock the other one out, which is why these knockout lines are so juiced. I mean, Erslan plus 125 by knockout, Cutelaba plus 130 by knockout, and the over 1.5 is plus 130. So realistically, I think if you're on the Cutelaba side, I hope he doesn't go in there and just firefight, because if he does that, his chin is definitely weaker than Erslan's, so he's putting himself at a disadvantage. He could land and Erslan could eat it, but if Erslan lands, Cutelaba's not eating that. And it just comes down to, can he win a firefight that he's kind of I would say 70-30. Cutelaba wins that firefight. So in that sense, I think these decision and these over props are actually juiced up perfectly. Over 1.5, if Cutelaba comes in there, starts to wrestle, and gets going, just look for the dub, it doesn't matter how boring it is, then Cutelaba by decision plus 900, over 1.5 plus 130. I think these are easy, some easy money bets. And then if you're on the Erslan side, I think that the Erslan side definitely comes by knockout. So if you're on the Erslan side, the plus 125 by knockout is not too bad. And then even the plus 100 for the minus 3.5, which kind of covers a little bit more bases, is not bad either. So if you're on the Erslan side, I think the minus 3.5. Sorry, not minus. Sorry, the entire time I thought it was plus 3.5. No, do not take that minus 3.5 at plus 100. I think the only base it covers is 30-27 for Erslan, and I mean, I highly doubt that's happening going 3 rounds. I think Cutelaba just dies at that point. So Ivan Erslan by KO at plus 125. If he wins, he's definitely just going to win that firefight. So yeah, I think that's a good prop on his side. Like I said, over 1.5 is juiced. Cutelaba by decision is juiced. If he goes in there, just looks for the win. Those can definitely hit, in my opinion. All right, now we have Ziam versus Matt Frevola. Both these guys look decent. Frevola is energized in the face-off. I like that. Ziam kind of looks like a little bitch in the face-off, I'm not going to lie. Ziam does have this pretty good height advantage on Frevola, so that is one thing. But we kind of know how this fight's going to play out, too. Ziam's pretty, slow pace. He's not going to throw volume in. Frevola is going to be the one that's kind of, pushing the pace here. But, I mean, I think that Frevola can just outwork and, overpower Ziam in this fight. So we're sticking with Frevola, no pick flips. Fuck pick flipping. I don't think I very rarely do it. So far, 0 pick flips. Let's look at the lines for this fight. I think that, we have Frevola at a plus 110 dog at this point. Yeah, I mean, I don't see... I feel like this line should be flipped. I think Frevola should be the minus 130 favorite. This seems like realistically, whoever's a dog in this fight would probably be the better bet. But in general, I think Frevola can kind of push the pace on him and kind of get it done that way. So, I mean, Frevola by decision is also at plus 250. From my understanding, Ziam is pretty durable, so that's going to be interesting. I think that Frevola is just going to outwork him here. So, yeah, I mean, he did get choked out by Terrence McKinney. That was in 2022. Not too sure if a submission is going to be at play here. I think that, the KO is there always for something like Matt Frevola, but I feel like Matt Frevola by decision is probably the best prop here at plus 250. Similarly with Ziam by decision at plus 225. But then again, Ziam could also get the knockout. If he kind of gains Frevola's respect by landing something hard early on, then I think Frevola can get timid. And if he does get timid in that scenario where he's been hit hard, he doesn't know what to do, then I think Ziam can kind of take over and a lot can happen from there. But, I don't really see the knockout happening. I think this fight goes the distance. And when it comes to that, I would give Frevola at plus 250 by decision to be the best prop bet here. All right, and now we got Gabriel Miranda versus Morgan Charriere. And, face-off looks good. Both fighters made weight. Miranda has that height advantage. He's got the stash going. He looks super game. And I'm going to stick with him to pull this off. I just don't like Morgan Charriere much. Looking at these odds, the line has been blown up. I don't really know how you play this fight. Charriere is minus 700. If you want to go ahead and parlay him, go ahead, be my guest. But I'm going to sit here on this prop. Gabriel Miranda to win by submission at plus 1100. Fuck it, we're going to roll with that. That's going to be the prop that I like in this fight, but I'm kind of going out on a limb and saying Miranda's going to kind of wrap up the sub somehow. So we'll see how it goes, but Gabriel Miranda by submission. That's going to be the prop that I'm picking, and fuck it. There's no other way to really play this for me. All right, next fight we have Bryan Battle versus Kevin Jousset. Now these guys look once again, both of them made weight, both of them look game, ready to go. You see Bryan Battle going in for that firm handshake, and Jousset does look a little bit timid, but maybe I'm just playing into my own beliefs here. But Bryan Battle is my pick. Sticking with that, I've kind of flip-flopped a little bit on this fight when it comes to how confident I am. Battle's been the pick the entire time, but at first I was super confident. Then I became pretty skeptical as to how close it could be, and now we get close to the fight, I'm a little bit more confident once again in Battle to be able to get this done. He does look pretty good. You see Jousset is a little bit taller, but Battle actually does have the reach advantage here by 2 inches. So that's that. Looking into the bets, we have Battle sitting at minus 166 on the money line. I don't think that's bad at all. I think you can definitely pick that up. Maybe parlay with like a Oumar Sai or something, and then kind of just Sai, in my opinion, is a lock. So you kind of just sit there on a Battle bet that's close to even to plus money. I think that's one good way to look at it. So the money line is not bad. And then when it comes to the props, I do see this fight going to decision. Both these guys are super durable, and it's going to be pretty interesting how this fight goes. Battle does get a little wild, but Jousset has that judo background, so it's going to be hard for Battle to get his jiu-jitsu going. And then on the feet, Jousset is a pretty good striker, and so is Battle. I think Battle just kind of comes in with a little bit more danger, which is why I'm going to stick with Battle in this. But yeah, I think Battle to win by decision at plus 130. I do like that. I like it to happen, but I don't think plus 130 is a good enough line, personally, in that. So that's something interesting to look at. Maybe none of these props really look good enough. I think the Battle money line is something that I do like. On the Jousset side, maybe if you do play Jousset, you could play Jousset to win by decision, because Battle is super tough. So maybe if you're on the Jousset side and you want to juice it up, you can play it at plus 215. But aside from that, I think the money line looks decent here. All right, now we have Gomis versus Joanderson Brito, and this is what Cutelaba should have done. We see Brito absolutely just like pull Gomis towards him. Pretty big power move there. Gomis kind of flew in like a little bitch. So Brito definitely did good in that face-off. W for Joanderson Brito in the face-off. We're sticking with Brito here. His money line has shifted to minus 325. I think it was like minus 275 earlier this week. So definitely some line movement there. He's still minus 325. I think this is a decent parlay piece. I'm confident that Brito gets this done. Gomis just pisses me off. Super low volume, super boring. And we have Brito at plus 180 to win by decision, but maybe I'm biased as fuck, but personally I think he finds the finish. I think his plus 330 for the knockout, I think he can definitely stun Gomis here. The plus 225 by submission. I can also see a club and sub happening. I think Brito's just going to come out super aggressive like he did in this face-off, and Gomis clearly is not ready for that. This guy's flying forward. I mean, if you're on the Gomis side in this fight, I think you just play Gomis by decision, because that's like plus 400, and I don't see Gomis finishing Joanderson Brito. But on the Brito side, I think that by submission, by KO, those lines are kind of interesting here. Plus 180 by decision. Don't know how much that's worth it. I actually think he does find the finish here. So yeah, I mean, his money line is a good parlay piece if you're locked in on Brito like I am. And then aside from that, the by KO, by submission, both look kind of attractive to me. All right, and then we got that co-main event, which is Nasruddin Imavov versus Brendan Allen. Now, both these guys once again made weight, look great facing off. No real face-off winner here. Both of them look super game, super ready to go. Imavov's line has been pretty interesting. I know it's been moving around a little bit. He's at minus 205 right now. Brendan Allen's at plus 170 on the money line. So this is going to be interesting. Now, I am sticking with Imavov. I do think he wins. I am pretty confident that he wins. The one thing that's interesting is his 3-round fight. So, sometimes Imavov can be a little bit lower volume than I'd like, waiting for stuff to happen. And, I mean, if people think that's the reason Allen's going to win, I think that's still a bunch of BS. I do see Imavov winning. I just don't see where Allen can take over this fight. I also don't see Imavov being that person that doesn't throw, just because I know that on the feet, Imavov can kind of like have his way with Brendan Allen here. He should be able to, in my opinion. Both these guys just went. Imavov had that slightly controversial stoppage against Jared Cannonier, and then Allen just went 5 rounds with Chris Curtis. So I mean, I do see this fight going all 3. I don't think someone finds a finish here. We have Imavov by TKO and KO at plus 200. Now, that's definitely not worth it in my opinion. Imavov to win by decision at plus 175. I think that's a pretty good bet. I definitely do like that. And then the spreads are interesting to me. I don't know how. It's always hard for me to pick a minus 3.5, only because like anything can happen in a fight. And the second you lose one round, that bet's kind of dead. But then I also don't see how Ailin can like confidently pick up one round in this fight. So I don't like any of the spreads here. The over 2.5 at minus 145, I think that's decent. I do see this fight going all the way. Like I said, Imavov by decision at plus 175 seems decent. If you're on the Ailin side, not too sure what you would pick here. Maybe Bryan Ailin by submission at plus 550 or something like that. But yeah, I'm on the Imavov side by decision, and the over 2.5 for the props I like. All right, now we have the main event, Renato Moicano and Benoit Saint-Denis facing off. Now, my pick is going to be BSD. I think he is the better fighter. But at the end of the day, I'm personally going to put some money on Moicano, not through premium or anything like that, not part of our bet subs, but personally, I got to sprinkle in for the UFC fans and shit like that. So, I hope Moicano wins, but realistically, the pick is BSD to get it done. Now, we don't know what BSD's gas tank is going to look like. Now, if you look at it, BSD to win by KO is minus 115. By submission is plus 350. But by decision is plus 800, which is crazy to me because that just means that they really don't see him, winning outside of finish. Once it gets like in the later rounds, we don't know what his gas tank like. We know he's gassed like crazy against Poirier, so it is going to be interesting. Moicano by decision is plus 1200, which is also interesting, and Moicano by submission is plus 350. I think here, if you want to play a prop, you just play BSD by KO at minus 115. I think that makes the most sense. It is a 5-round fight. It's going to be interesting. The over 2.5 rounds is plus 160 as well. So I think it's pretty interesting. I think as BSD kind of goes out there, gets the knockout early, and I think if it goes deep, BSD could be in a lot of trouble. But I do think he does get the knockout. Jalen Turner almost knocked Moicano out early, and I think BSD can definitely do it as well. So yeah, I think the best prop here is BSD by KO. But, if this fight goes later on, which I hope it does, Moicano can come in and really, really pick it up. All right, guys, now we've went through every single fight. Those are kind of the props that I'm looking at that are interesting. We have all our premium bets up for this week. So if you want to check out premium, you want to tailor our bet slips, or you kind of just want to support, check out kopicks.win, and it's $20 a month to get our premium bets. So yeah, we drop 2 free bets a week. And then I drop all my picks and predictions as well as to what I think. But remember, picks aren't bets. So just because I pick a fighter doesn't mean I'm necessarily betting on that fighter. And sometimes, if the line looks good, I could pick one fighter to win, but the other line just makes sense value-wise and bet that side. So, I do drop my picks as to who I think will win. But if you want to look at our entire bet slip, check out kopicks.win. Become a premium member. It's $20 a month. And even if you don't want to do that, the other thing we really like is just join our community. So head over to our bio, click our Discord link, and join our Discord. We have a bunch of people in Discord now. Love chatting about UFC and just discussing different fights, so hop in the Discord. And finally, good luck to everyone's bets this week, and let's have a great UFC Paris.